Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of World Cup Daily. And I want to start by saying thanks to those of you who joined me for the watch along today. And I'll be doing a watch along tomorrow as well for the Argentina versus Nigeria match, so be sure to tune in for that one if you can make it. Oh, and sorry this video is a little later than usual. I had an eye exam to make sure that my eyeballs are all good and to increase my prescription because I guess staring at a computer editing and writing all day isn't good for your eyes. Who knew? Other than that, no other announcements. Let's get straight into the football, starting with Russia versus Uruguay. This was the match to watch in Group A, and what an open match this was in the opening sequences, with both teams looking dangerous going forward. And thankfully, we got to enjoy a goal nice and early, courtesy of the greatest goal scorer Uruguay has ever produced, Luis Suarez. With a free kick on the edge of the box, Suarez drove it into the bottom corner of Akinfeev's side of the goal. I think some credit needs to be given to Cavani off of the ball, however. While Suarez was lining up his strike, Cavani stood directly beside the wall with his marker, blocking Akinfeev's view. As Suarez began his run-up, Cavani was thrown to the ground by his marker, and Suarez's strike blew right through the area that they had vacated. So that's a great little off-the-ball trick there from Edinson Cavani to help Suarez get his 7th goal in a World Cup for Uruguay. He's second in World Cup goals for Uruguay at this point, one behind Oscar Miguez, even though Luis Suarez has the most goals overall for Uruguay. That's why I said he's the best goal scorer they've ever produced. You see? So, for the first time in this tournament, Russia found themselves trailing, and I liked their response. They had multiple close opportunities, while they also did well to contain Uruguay's attack. However, they were undone by a rather unlucky deflected goal for Uruguay, in which Laxalt's long-range strike hit Cheryshev on its way to the goal and bounced past a helpless Igor Akinfeev. Rather unlucky for the hosts who, as I said, otherwise looked pretty decent, and they had rotated some players in too. But from there, Uruguay looked more and more comfortable and as if they could score with every attack. Then in the 35th minute, it got even more difficult for Russia as Smolikov received a second yellow for a bad tackle on Laxalt, definitely deserving of that. In the second, it wasn't the most engrossing match as it sort of petered out a bit, with Russia pushing for a goal but not really providing any danger for the Uruguayan back line, and Uruguay seemingly happy to just coast through this one. Happy to coast until the 89th minute when Russia's defensive block was finally broken again, and Edinson Cavani finally got his first goal of the tournament from a rebound. Akinfeev did well to save Godin's header, but there was nothing he could do to stop Cavani from 3 yards out. That was Cavani's 43rd goal for Uruguay, and that was all that would happen in this match. Uruguay became the first team to win all 3 of their group stage matches without conceding a single goal since Argentina did it back in 1998. Despite the other match having the higher profile, the Egypt versus Saudi Arabia match was full of entertainment as well, and it had a record from the outset, as Egyptian goalkeeper Issam El Hadari became the oldest player in World Cup history at 45 years old. That is pretty insane. Saudi Arabia actually started this match with one of the most comprehensive performances in the tournament yet, looking decent in defense, which was their biggest cause for concern, and looking dangerous in the attack as well. And by the way, what I said earlier about it being the most comprehensive of this tournament, I meant for them, not in general. But when Mo Salah is on the pitch, your back line is never safe, no matter who makes up the back line. And in the 22nd minute, a long ball over the top found Salah, who just lifted the ball up and over the onrushing Saudi keeper and into the empty net. That was his 50th goal for club and country since he joined Liverpool in last July. Yeah. Also, that was Egypt's first goal scored at the World Cup from open play since 1934. That's a long time. This game got a little wild for the Egyptians as they were wasteful in the attack, solid at the back, but started leaking penalties to their opposition. In the 41st minute, the aforementioned Issam El Hadari made the save, tipping the ball off the bar. In stoppage time, however, of the first half, Ali Gabr gave away a second penalty to Saudi Arabia, and that's nice of him, a shot at redemption. And this time they made no mistake, with Salman putting this one past El Hadari for the Saudis' first goal of the tournament. Now the only teams who have failed to score are Costa Rica, Peru, and as it stood before they played, Morocco. In the second, Saudi Arabia started very well, and they looked as if they would go on to win this one, but as it has been throughout the tournament, their attack just wasn't good enough. Late in the match, Egyptians fans' hearts would have been in their mouths when Trezeguet's powerful header went just wide. And for the Saudi fans, they would be jubilant before this one was up, as in the 94th minute, Saudi Arabia scored after one of the better passing sequences leading to a goal of this tournament, which was finished off by Salem El Dossari, 2-1 Saudi Arabia, as they get their first and only win of this World Cup to pip Egypt for third place. Not that third gets them anything though, this isn't Euro 2016. But that did end their 12-match winless run in the World Cup. So congrats to the Saudis, their first win since 1994, when they beat Belgium. And so the final standings were as follows. Uruguay in first with 9 points and not a single goal against. Russia in second with 6 points. Saudi Arabia in third. And Egypt in last without a point to their name. Of course, Uruguay will play the runner-up in Group B and Russia will play the winner of Group B. So who will they be meeting in the round of 16? We'll start with Spain versus Morocco. And Morocco almost throughout this match looked the better of the two teams. And they were rewarded for their efforts early as they scored their first goal at this edition of the World Cup thanks to a Spanish fluff-up from Iniesta and Piqué, which left the ball for Boutaïb to waltz in all alone and nutmeg David De Gea. Tough tournament for him so far. 1-0 Morocco, and with that, their first goal of their tournament. It was a long time coming, to be honest, as they should have been able to beat both Portugal and Iran, but that's a conversation for later. Spain didn't leave it long to retaliate, however, and Iniesta couldn't live with the shame of his mistake on the first goal, so he immediately made up for it as he picked up the ball in the 18, carried to the goal line, and cut it back to Isco. Isco, of course, as you all know by now, one of my favorite players in the world, took one touch to unfoot the Moroccan keeper and then roofed it into the relatively empty goal. And man, seeing Iniesta do that, can you believe this guy is 34 years old? He could have kept on playing for Barca in my opinion, or at least for another top club in Italy or something. I was going to say Spain as well, but he wouldn't play for another club in Spain. Anyways, Isco took his goal involvement to 12 in his last 15 appearances, 10 of which have been goals. In the second half, it was a pretty open match, and for Moroccan fans, it must have hurt to see how their team was doing so well against Spain after bossing Portugal and Iran and coming up with losses. That's got to be super frustrating, knowing that even if you were to defeat Spain, it would do nothing for your World Cup ambitions. But they continued to push on to give their fans a good memory and a parting gift, and in the 81st minute, En Nesri basically climbed a ladder to bullet home a corner kick and give Morocco the lead. Unfortunately, again they lost concentration in the minutes following their own goal. The most important time to keep your concentration, and in the 89th minute, Iago Aspas got on the end of Dani Carvajal cross, just guiding it into the net with a flicked back heel. Beautiful finish, and Aspas has made a habit of scoring since getting called up to the Spanish national team, as he's now been involved in 8 goals in his last 8 games, with 5 for himself and 3 assists. A Liverpool flop, killing it in La Liga and on the international stage. So, harsh on Morocco a little bit as they weren't allowed to have a little bit of glory for themselves, but Hervé Renard should be proud of the team as they showed that if they just had a decent striker, they would probably have won this group even. Is that going too far? I don't know, but if they had a decent striker, they would have beat Iran, they would have beat Portugal, and they probably would have beat Spain as well. Speaking of not having a decent striker, depending of course on what you class Ronaldo as, I always just go for forward. Let's talk Portugal and how they gave me heart palpitations all match versus a very good Iranian team. Iran were the masters of defending in this one, as Portugal was unable to counterattack against them, and also the masters of swarming the referee after every call. For Portugal, Adrian Silva was rotated into the midfield for João Moutinho. João Mário and Quaresma got the start on the wings over Gonçalo Guedes and Bernardo Silva, and Andre Silva replaced Bruno Fernandes. All changes I liked, by the way, besides maybe Adrian Silva, as what has he done all season? But happy to say that Adrian Silva completely rested Adrian's concerns by the end of the match. Portugal started very well, keeping pressure on the Iranian back line, forcing errors out of their keeper, and just general confusion amongst their ranks. But then, Iran started to play with less fear in the attack, and that gave me a heart attack, because Portugal didn't look good at the back. Sorry for all the rhymes. But alas, right on the stroke of halftime, Ricardo Quaresma served up what could be just the top goal of the tournament so far, maybe, as he replicated his goal from many moons ago against Belgium with the nastiest trivela you will ever see. Here was my reaction after trash talking 90 for a while when someone in the chat asked me about him. Selfish he is, how he always ruins our attacks, etc. He played well for us in Euro 2016. We were missing him in 2014 a little bit because he was injured. Quaresma with a strike. Yes! 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 Yes, Quaresma! What a strike, the Trivela! Oh! 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 What a goal! Yes, Quaresma! That's why he's in the squad. Finally! Sorry about that. As someone in the chat put it, I sounded a bit like an 8-bit Pokemon with all of the clipping in that one. I have a mighty roar. What do you want me to do? Going into the half with a 1-goal lead changes things for Portugal, and knowing them, they would go back to defending and trying to hold off a seemingly very dangerous looking Iranian attack. But they didn't, in fact, as Cristiano Ronaldo won them a penalty in the 51st minute. Wow! What a start to the half, huh? Well, no, because Fernando Santos with the slap squat. Here we go. Ronaldo. Saved. Saved by the keeper. Saved by the keeper. You just had that feeling. You did just have that feeling. He put it right in the sweet spot for keepers to save, about 3 feet off the ground and 5 to 6 feet to their side. If that's along the ground, goal. If it's up higher, also probably a goal. But we'll have someone show us an example of that later. He put it basically exactly where Messi put it, and Halderson saved that one too. So, that means of the 15 penalties Ronaldo has taken for Portugal, he has now missed 6. Still a decent conversion rate, but he ain't no Jedinak. In fact, he's the first Portuguese player to miss a penalty in the World Cup, not including shootouts. But anyway, the things he does for this team far outweigh a few penalty misses. From there, the Iranian defenders kept on chipping away at the mental strength of the Portuguese forwards, namely Ronaldo and Quaresma, trying to lure them into violence. And it worked! Sorta. First, we saw Ricardo Quaresma go hard into Ezotolahi, who had been nibbling away at his ankles all game. Then, in the 82nd minute, the controversial part. After being harried all match, Ronaldo had had enough of Iranian defender Paralaganji, as he kept on impeding his runs off the ball and leaning into him. So, in trying to get past the Iranian defender, he tried to get better positioning by getting his arm in front of the defender, as you do. However, as he did so, the Iranian defender turned his face into the arm which had already been moving, hitting him in the cheek. In my eyes, it looked unintentional from this angle, but it just looked like two guys jockeying for position and an elbow grazes a cheek. There was no outward movement like this. He was going like this. But anyways, VAR would be utilized once again in the 92nd minute when Cedric was adjudged to have used his arm in the box. There was contact, the arm was in an unnatural position, so I'm okay with that penalty. And the man who converted that penalty, Karim Ansourifard, hit it absolutely perfectly. Here comes the drama. Just a couple of minutes after equalizing, Iran came within inches of winning and knocking Portugal out of this competition when a deflected effort fell perfectly into the path of Taremi, but he could only hit it into the side netting. That is how close Portugal were to being eliminated. But they somehow managed to hold on, and they end up coming in second in the group. Harsh on Iran and Morocco for that matter, as these are how the final standings looked. Spain and Portugal both on 5 points apiece, equal on goal difference, but Spain having scored 1 more goal and conceding 1 more as well. Iran in third with 3 points and Morocco in last with 1 point. Tight group. So that means that Portugal will face Uruguay and Spain will face Russia. 2 very interesting matchups in my opinion. Can Russia pull it off? And there you have it. The first 2 round of 16 matches have been set. We have just 3 more days of group stage action. So let's start with who will have their fates sealed tomorrow. Oh, and instead of doing match by match previews, I think it makes sense to do group previews given the multiple numbers to speak of. First up is Australia versus Peru, and as I said before, Peru is one of the few teams that is yet to score a single goal at this World Cup, let alone have a single point after losses to Denmark and France, so they are already eliminated. Australia, on the other hand, grabbed a point against Denmark, so they are still within a chance of advancing. However, their fate is dependent upon what happens between Denmark and France. France has already sealed their place in the next round, and all that Denmark would need to secure safe passage is a draw. A loss for them and a big win for Australia, and the Danes would be out. Then we go to Group D, where things are wide open. Both Argentina and Iceland need wins in order to have a shot at advancing, as they play Nigeria and Croatia respectively. Argentina is bottom of the group with 1 point, Iceland in third with 1 point as well, but a slightly superior goal difference, and Nigeria is second with 3 points. If Argentina beat Nigeria, they would need Iceland to either lose or draw, but depending on how many goals Argentina score, they could still beat Iceland to second with their superior goal difference. For Iceland, they'll look to their past meetings with Croatia. They beat them in qualifying, and Dalic, the Croatian coach, said that they would be resting players, so Iceland will like their chances. Now, Nigeria has defeated Argentina before, most recently towards the end of 2017 when they stomped them 4-2, and would need a score draw to get through to the next round and hope that Iceland didn't drub Croatia. Just a reminder for you guys, as I finally looked into the official FIFA rules for this World Cup regarding tiebreakers, it goes points, obviously, then goal difference, then greatest number of goals scored, head-to-head results, goal difference between the two teams that are tied, goals scored between the two teams when they faced off, which to me isn't that decided by head-to-head already, basically. Fair play points, aka least number of cards, and then drawing lots. Pretty shit way to advance if you ask me. Anyways, that's all you guys need to know from today. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, then maybe drop a like and let me know. And be sure to comment with all of your opinions on today's matches as well. Should Ronaldo have been sent off? I don't think so. Do you? Let me know. My name's Adrian. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you during the watch along tomorrow. If you've never seen a watch along, why not just try one out? See if you like it, because I think you will. All right, bye.